In Horns at Half Past, here's why Texas could win the rest of their games. And I know that sounds crazy. And I'm not saying they're going to. Don't run off and text me or tell Hogan saying they're going to win the rest and go 4-0. But I think they can.
It's doable.
But as I've also said, they're like a box of chocolates. I don't know what I'm getting game to game from this team, and they are Forrest Gump right now. And each game is its own thing. But here's what I've said this going into the Mississippi State game. If they can find a win in Mississippi State, I don't care how ugly, how pretty, whatever it is.
W in the column.
Bring it home. Land the plane.
Right.
Captain Sully, whether you landed it in the Hudson or landed on the runway, bring the plane home, save everybody's life. Yep. They did that. And maybe found Arch Manning there because, as we said last hour, and we'll reset it, Danny Cannell, the quarterback at Florida State, along with back in Bobby Bowden's heyday, he and Charlie Ward, he said he remembers a game when he was down at home getting booed 31-3, and they rallied and they won the game, and he said that was my turning point as a quarterback. I was a different quarterback from that day on. My locker room looked at me differently. I led them to a win, and I watched Arch Manning do that. He didn't get to throw the game-winning touchdown because he got hurt, but he was the one encouraging the defense. He was the one leading the charge and instilling confidence in his team and belief in his team that they could win it, and they did. And so that's a moment forward. Could be a flash in time, but I've heard a lot of quarterbacks, Sark talks about all the time. Maybe that's where he grabbed that locker room, and he just started playing ball. And they saw Arch finally calm down and play like the guy they see at practice and just say, hey, let's go play.
Not overthinking.
So if you get anything close to that whenever he's able to come back, and they got to beat Vanderbilt, and they may not have Arch. But point being, here's another stat the thing I said ahead of Mississippi State. When they play their last 4 games, no matter how ominous it feels that you're playing number 3, number 5, and number 10, facts are important. That is a fact. 3 of your next 4 opponents are in the top 10 in the country. But Texas will also have the better defense on the field in every game. And I would argue the better special teams with the way Ryan Niblett in that special teams unit is returning punts and changing games, and the way that Jay Baumeister is punting, and the way that Mason Shipley, although he missed a kick last week, which was frustrating, it was a chip shot, but he's been really reliable. Your special teams are elite. Every coach they play watches them on tape and says, man, their special teams are game changers. So you have the best defense on the field, and you have at least as good or probably better special teams. And here are the numbers. And so can your offense be good enough? With 3 home games of the 4, but even the Georgia game's winnable. Texas is right now, we always tell you what stop rate is. Stop rate is an analytic, a metric that tells you how often when a team, an offense hits the field and your defense hits the field, how often do they score points or how often do you get them off the field? Texas is 4th in the country in stop rate. 79% of the time, Texas gets off the field without having points allowed. Okay? Which is why the second and third quarter of Mississippi State was pretty puzzling. I was like, where did this come from? Because Mississippi State was going up and down the field. But they figured it out, got 3 or 4 huge stops in the fourth quarter and overtime and won the game. But they do that 80% of the time. Ohio State leads the country in that regard at 84%. Texas Tech, San Diego State is 3rd. Who knew? Oregon is 5th behind Texas. Vanderbilt, who they play on Saturday, is 70th in stop rate. So again, Texas, can they find a consistent offense, whether with Arch or Matt Caldwell? Vanderbilt lets teams move the ball and score points. Texas has the better defense.
They do.
By a lot. Arkansas has the 134th ranked stop rate in the country.
There's only 136 teams.
Georgia has the 38th.
Yeah.
But you're probably not running the ball on them, but their pass defense is pretty wretched. Ask Tennessee, ask Ole Miss. You're probably not going to run the ball a lot against them, but can you protect your quarterback and build on what you did in the fourth quarter of that Ole Miss game where you started to play loose and get your receivers involved and they were making dynamic catches?
This ain't your older brother's Georgia defense.
And Texas A&M is 30th in stop rate, which is pretty good. And that's why I think they and Alabama are the most complete teams because they have Marcel Reed as a Heisman favorite and they've got a defense but that's not 4th.
No.
And it's at home for Texas. So again, Texas has the better defense and special teams in every game left. And 3 of them are at home. So when I say you're saying there's a chance. I think statistically there's a better than average chance. The Georgia game is the one that's the outlier because it's on the road, but your team's now built to play on the road. You've weathered all of that. And the hope is you're growing.
And that's your boogeyman too with Georgia. You still got, Sark's got to beat them.
And boy, they need. And here's my question, because Vanderbilt is 70th in stop rate, Texas is 4th, but that defense is exhausted.
Yeah,
they really need to somehow find a win against Vanderbilt to get to that bye week, to get everybody healthy, to get them off their feet. That defense has been worn down by this road trip month. Florida was ugly. Oklahoma was exhilarating, but we know what kind of emotional toll that takes. It's the leverage of that game, the importance of that game. As Mac Brown has compared it to, it's like a bowl game or a championship level game in the middle of the season. And then you had to go to Kentucky and face almost 100 snaps. You had to go to Mississippi State and play overtime twice and face almost 100 snaps. That team is tired. Yes, they're deep, and it's why Sark keeps saying we got to keep recruiting defensive tackles, and we want to be 3 deep, and we got to be because we're going to need them. Well, you're going to need them against Vanderbilt because you can't expect Anthony Hill. Colin Simmons played almost 70 snaps last week. You can't expect him to go out there.
It's not normal.
But now you're playing a top 10 team.
Right.
So can you get enough from your depth, from your defense, to stand one more time? Because I'm not saying the bye week will solve all your problems, but it would help to get a win at home with your home crowd at 11 o'clock.
Sleeping in your own bed.
Vanderbilt coming off back-to-back emotional, tough games of their own at home. They haven't been on the road since they lost to Bama. Can your defense rise up one more time? They got to see Diego Pavia in this offense last year in Nashville. And if you win that game, I think all bets are off. Because if you have to win it with a backup quarterback, this game becomes a real significant game because the bye week will come at a perfect time. And then Georgia, you're significantly better on defense, at least by the numbers, stop rate, total defense, special teams. And Ole Miss went in there, Alabama went in there. You can beat them. Tennessee had them on the ropes. They're still Georgia. I mean, that's an incredibly tough thing to do. But then you get home games with Arkansas, who doesn't play any defense, and you play A&M in a rivalry game where it's in your building. That's all you can ask for a lot. So that's my point. Not predicting it's going to happen. I'm just saying there's a chance. And
so you're saying there's a chance.
And statistically, there's a reason they're favored in Vegas to beat Vanderbilt.
That's true. They are favored. That's not just by.
And what does Vegas look at? They remove emotion and they look at metrics like I'm talking about.
Look at the numbers.
And and they look at who bets on what, because Texas fans bet a lot, and but Joe Schmo bettors actually will bet that number 9 is playing number 20. Oh well, I'm going to take 9, right. But they don't look into these. They go emotional, and they don't look at the deep dive metrics. And Texas has a chance now. Again, if they could get the Vanderbilt game, look out. If they can't, then all bets are off. Obviously, you can't go undefeated in November. Also for Vanderbilt, the Longhorns have lost each of the first games of the month to Ohio State and Florida. They've won the rest. So this Vanderbilt game becomes kind of a pivot point to everything for me, big picture.